Good morning to the internet. So we're at 7 o'clock. I got up at 6 o'clock and I've already had my breakfast. I've already had my tea, and Alex and I are just getting ourselves pulled together. We're gonna go to my parents' farm in about an hour. So I figured I would just live stream for a little while in advance, and I would talk a little bit about the farm and what I'm going to be doing at the farm today, because it's going to be a good collection of stuff there today. At my parents' farm, I still have muffin on my face. At my parents' farm, there's lots to do for natural dyeing, and there's lots to do for. There's grapes left, which I'm very excited for. The Concords have not given up yet, and I'm just going to. Oh no, I'm not. My phone's plugged in. I can't check. Good morning, Araceli. Araceli. That's a pretty name. Did I say it right? That's a pretty name. And Texas is cool. Probably warmer than this. Anyway, we've got -1 degrees Celsius today. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's cold. Probably a low number. I'm gonna guess what, the 20s? Is that zero? Is that right? Do you know what the translation Fahrenheit to Celsius is? No? It's cold. It's cold here, and I'm going to my parents' farm because I need to collect whatever I can. I'm going to just pretty much be looking for Concord grapes for dyeing and juice. I'm going to collect as many as I can before my hands freeze. I'm also going to be looking for marigold petals because I have, hold on one sec, I'm just going to grab something. So at the last time I went up, I collected, think of a Walmart shopping bag. I collected 2 full Walmart shopping bags. Also, geez, I'm looking a little bit haggard this morning in this camera. Excuse my appearance. I am not doing any makeup or anything because I'm going to go work on a farm all day. But yeah, I collected about 2 Walmart shopping bags worth of marigold petals, and after I dehydrated them, they fit into one jar. Isn't that great? And these will make a really pretty orangey yellow dye for fabric, which I'm going to be doing, I believe, the first weekend of December. That's my plan. I'm going to have a couple of girls over and we're going to do some natural dyeing. So I collected walnut shells for dyeing. I collected marigold petals. I have Concord grapes for blue. So marigold will give me orange. I also have Concord grapes, which will give me blue. I have walnut skins, which will give me blackish, dark brown, kind of like an olivey black. And then I have onion skins, which I've been collecting for a really long time. And those will give me really beautiful orange. And then I also have avocado seeds and skins that I've been saving whenever we eat avocados, and those will give kind of something sort of this color pink, but with maybe a little bit of orange in it. So today I'm going to continue to collect for natural dyeing, and also we're going to harvest whatever vegetables are left in my mom's vegetable garden for the year. So I think there might be a couple of pumpkins, maybe a few zucchinis, the carrots and turnips, and beets maybe, or radishes, that kind of stuff. I don't know if my mom got rid of all of that from the garden yet. She may have already, so there may not be so much for me to collect, but that's okay with me. I'm more there to hang out with my mom because I haven't seen my mom and dad we haven't gone up in 2 weekends, so this will be quite a bit of time that we haven't seen them, which is not my thing anymore because I live so close. I like to see them often, plus I like farm stuff. I like farm vibes, so for that I'm going to just enjoy myself. Alex is going to help my dad build a garage for the winter. I think my brother's going to be coming down to help with that. We'll see. But Thunder's coming with us. He already had his breakfast and already did his morning routine, so he's probably just gonna sleep. Can you not lick your feet? Hey, stop it. Just go to sleep. You don't have to lick your feet. He's not supposed to lick his feet. It makes them turn brown. He's got little white feet. Anyway, he'll come with us, but he won't spend much of the day outside because it'll be too chilly for him. We'll get him in a sweater too. I'm wearing today like a cat suit underneath, black thermal tights, black thermal long sleeve shirt. I have a pair of knee-high socks underneath my tights, and then I have my big fat wool socks. So I have socks that go up to here underneath, and then tights, and then big wool socks. And then on top of that, I'm gonna put jeans. And then on top of this, I'll have a coat, and I'm a little bit extra when it comes to the cold because I hate the cold and I make knitwear. So I'm always prepared for scarving things. So I'm gonna have an under scarf, then my coat, and then an over scarf. And then I will not be complaining about the cold. Oh, and mittens because it's -1 degree today, which is far too cold. I feel like I should be doing something. I don't know what I want to work on right now, and I don't know what hat I'm gonna wear today, maybe. I have a very far back hairline, which always makes it look like I'm bald when I wear a hat, like people worry about me and ask if I'm healthy. So I'm not a big fan of that with hats, but at the same time I hate having a cold head. So I'm just gonna do it anyway. What do I want to work on this morning? Do you ever have that feeling when you're just not really, do you ever have that feeling where you're not quite motivated? That's where I'm at. I have lots of works in progress all around me that are crochet, but I'm not really in the mood for it. So I think that we'll probably leave. What do you say, Alex? Is 7:45 okay with you? Yeah, you think you can be ready by then? It's 10 after now. Yeah? Cool. Well, then we're gonna leave at 7:45, which means I've got some time. So that means I should work on something. I should have planned before I started live streaming, but I've just become recently obsessed with it because I like seeing the conversations and I like chit-chatting with whoever's awake at 7 in the morning on any given day. So today, Aracelis, that is you and me. We're having our tea together. Hopefully, is it the same time? This sounds really stupid. Is it the same time? Enjoying. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. I like this hat too, even though it makes me look kind of like a boy. But that's okay, because then people don't bother me when I'm walking around. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna look in this pile of yarn and see if there's something that I can get started on this morning. And I don't know exactly what that will be yet. Maybe I'll just make another hat, you know? You can never really go wrong with a hat. I like these too. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just make a hat. Because, you know, I'm also gonna just tilt this down so you could see a little bit more what I'm working on. More about the farm though. My parents' farm is in Grimsby, Ontario, and we're in Toronto. So it's a little bit of a drive that we take in the mornings on Saturdays. We were going before pretty much every Saturday. 6:11, geez, so you're an hour different. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we go pretty much every Saturday, but we took a couple of Saturdays off because one Saturday we had the whole highways all shut down on their way. Good morning, everybody who just joined. Nice to see you. I'm just talking about my parents' farm and what we're going to be doing on the farm today. So a couple of weekends ago, we couldn't come because the highway shut down into Toronto because they just do 4:11 in the morning. Geez, good morning. Ooh, I hope that you wanted to be awake at 4:11. But so the highway shut down one weekend, so we couldn't go out just for regular maintenance. Nothing bad happened. It's just they think that they can shut down the main highway into Toronto like once a year to fix the potholes, which is fine because the pothole situation in Ontario is redonkulous. For you in Texas, if you don't have the winter like us, you're way down there. Same with California. You guys cannot understand what the pothole situation is here. Since the temperature goes down so crazy low and then the same day it'll go back up, like we can, I don't know the Fahrenheit, but in Celsius we can go from like 20 degrees one day to like -6 that night, and then the following day it can go back up to 12, and then it can go down to -10. So that fluctuation is not good for roads. So what it'll do is if there's a little bit of a crack, water gets in and then it goes down to a really cold freeze and the water expands and forces the crack to get bigger, and then it melts again. So it just makes our roads buckle. Like our roads are terrible in Ontario for that reason. Even if we had unlimited money going in, the number of potholes and like cracks in our roads would just be excessive all the time. So it's fine. I'm fine with them closing the highway down once in a while, but it definitely is not something that other major cities have to do. But yeah, so we're going to the farm this weekend. Certainly, it's not questionable. I need things at the farm, and I need to hang out with my mom and dad because I have I like doing that. So that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, they don't have any animals on their farm. I mean, except for their dogs. They have 2 dogs, Elvis and Cleo. And I should say we, because they're like the family dogs. Now I moved out, obviously, because I grew up. But the family dogs still remain at that house. Cleo is like 13, and Elvis is like maybe 6 or 7, something around there. I don't really know. I don't keep track until I'm like adding it up later. But they're both standard poodles, and they love living on that farm. My parents have only been there for, I don't know, under a year, and those dogs turned into farm dogs really quick. So I love going because I love those dogs and they love me, and then we get to hang out all day and play in the dirt, which is like my favorite thing. Ooh, something else I'm going to do at the farm today. I'm going to start tracking. I'm going to look for quail and grouse and turkeys and see where their movements are around the farm so I can keep track of that for a little bit later in the fall in case I get my hunting license and maybe end up collecting a turkey. Maybe. Realistically, it won't happen because I'm not very hand-eye coordinated, but like I believe that it could happen, so it maybe could. Also, I painted my little stubby nails. For those of you who were here yesterday, I painted them, and look, because I've been using false nails, they finally grew a little. So now I look like femme enough. That's too long, I think. So the way I'm making a hat is by chaining as long as I think the hat would be to the top of my head. So like I'll add a little bit for a pom-pom space. That's why I made it a little too long. And then I'll add a little bit to let it flip up. And then I'm just gonna work in the back loops of my chain. I know you didn't click this because it said anything to do with crochet on the live stream, but I am usually crocheting, so sorry if that's not what you came for. But yeah, I'm going to do half double crochets in the back loops only for the whole duration of the hat, and that will make it look like a ribbed stitch. It'll actually come out really similar to this, just a little bit thicker. I might actually end up wearing this one today. We shall see. If not, then I will just bring it and give it to my dad or my mom because there are never too many hats, if you know. So also this wool sweater that I'm wearing, which I hope will keep me nice and warm at the farm, I made it as well. And the pattern for this one is coming out on Tuesday. I have the videos already uploaded and they're already ready to see, like you can click the links, but they won't show you the video till Tuesday. Isn't it pretty? I love this pink. It's such a pretty, like, it's like a lip color almost. I really like it. I think it goes really well with my coloring. And yeah, I used wool for this one. I just wanted to have a big comfy wool sweater to go with Alex's, because I made my partner Alex, I made him a cozy sweater, and then I ended up being the one wearing it all the time. So I thought I have to make myself one that isn't for him. So since it's not for him, I was like, I'm gonna make it pink and purple and girly just for me, a sweater just for me. And I like it. I've been very much enjoying it. I will say I've been pretty much exclusively wearing this sweater um, since I finished blocking and washing it because it's so warm and cozy, and also because I know that I made it, which makes me feel like I love it more. Thank you, both of you. I like the color scheme as well. I definitely didn't pick them to go together. I just picked a whole bunch of colors that I like. I'll show you how I picked. Just one second. I'm gonna grab something. So the company that I purchased wool from, I was on the phone with their. Was I phoning her? Jesus, I don't remember. Excuse my language. Okay, so it could have been on the phone. It could have been over email. Now I don't remember, but I think I spoke to her. Anyway, I was asking about the different colors and about purchasing yarn in larger quantities, and she said, "Oh, well, we can send you a sampler so that you can see all of them with your order." And I was like, "Yes, obviously that would be awesome." So now I can just look at this and say, I'd like this color in 1 ply or 2 ply or 3 ply. So then I could just sort of look at the ones I liked. But when I had it like this, I just said like, "Oh, I like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one," and picked a whole bunch. And then when they came, it was lucky they worked together, but it was mostly just because I liked what this one looked like, I liked what this one looked like, and I liked what this one looked like. And that all worked out pretty well. Oh, golly. I am pumped to get to the farm. Whenever I wake up on a day I know we're going to the farm, I want to leave like right away. But Alex, like, he's not a morning person. So if I wake up at 6, I'm like, okay, is it time to go? And he's not usually ready at 6. But on top of that, like, I don't want to be at the farm at 7 a.m. because it's going to be cold. At least the sun is up though. Daylight savings, it's hard for a little while, but then when I wake up at 6 and the sun is like not coming through the sky, but like it's thinking about it, makes me feel a little bit better. The sun hasn't come like up yet, but the sky is all light here, so I'm at least happy with that. Yesterday I was having a hard time. The sun went down like all the way down by like 5:30. Like it was like pitch black, and it could have been darker because of the rain. It was also raining, but I got like worried because it's only November and we don't get any warm weather again until like late March. So if we have to wait all the way until late March to start seeing warmth again, that's a lot of time to be in the dark. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll already know this, but I am a firm believer in my vitamin D for the winter. I don't know if it actually helps me, but the winter that we got thunder, I started taking vitamin D in the winter, and I had like a really easy winter that winter. Said winter a lot of times. Part of me thinks that the vitamin D may have not done anything, and just the presence of a dog like saved my world. But the other thing is it really was a better winter, and since then I haven't had such like darkness creep in during the winter. And maybe that's a mindset. I am more physically active, I eat healthier. So there's a lot of factors, but I do think that the dark and cold negatively affect me. So I try to mitigate it by making colorful warm things and keeping a little loving heater around and taking my vitamin D. I do take vitamin B12 too, but I don't know if that's like necessary anymore. I just know that like one time my doctor said, "Oh, you could take vitamin B12 too." And then I said, "Okay." And then now I just have vitamin B12. But it says on the container that it helps you build red blood cells. And I don't think there's a bad thing about that. Like I don't think if I had the right amount of red blood cells that would have a negative impact. I'm not in the medical field, can you tell? I am in sociology and anthropology and handmaids. I'm actually not in the anthropology or sociology field. That's just where my education was. Also, apologies for my motor mouth. This is just the way that I go. And I only have one speed, and it's full speed ahead, unfortunately. It's either sleeping or talking. Those are my ways, which makes live streaming awesome because I'm not interrupting anybody. I can read your comments and respond to them, but at the same time, I can just keep going. And then by the time I get to the farm, I'm not feeling obligated to, not obligated, it's less of an obligation, it's more like a tick. I won't interrupt people so much because I got all of my chit-chattiness out here with you guys. So thank you. You're kind of like a therapy, because then I get to get all of my, I don't want to call it rudeness, but it's kind of rude the way that I communicate. I don't mean to be. I just, when I have something in my brain, it's very hard for me to shut up. I'm better at it now than I was when I was younger, but it's definitely still something something that I work on. Oh, well, thank you for saying that. That's kind of you. But it definitely is a hindrance, and I think that in real life, it's good to know that there are two parts to a conversation: talking and listening. As my mom used to say when I was younger. Like, when I say used to, she might have said it the last time I saw her, because my mom's a teacher and she's very gentle with her life lessons, but at the same time, that is one of them that I've remembered for a long time, and it still makes me smile. Laura, there are two parts to a conversation: talking and listening. Feel like that's going to be something I'm going to have to say to a child one day, probably my child, and it'll be like ironic and silly that I will be telling someone else that they talk too much. I feel like I won't even be able to, because my kid will know me. You know what I mean? Like, don't interrupt. Mommy, you interrupt all the time. That's what it'll be. You know what it'll be? I will have a kid who is super accepting. I'm just going to do this in case Alex decides to come out of the bathroom without his towel or something ridiculous, because it was visible. Now it is not. Yes, so I think it'll be kind of funny, and my kid will just have a more tolerant conversational skill. Like, when I get interrupted, I don't get irritated about it because I am an interrupter. So, like, for example, when my siblings and I all talk to one another, it doesn't bother any of us that all of us are interrupting each other. We just finish each other's sentences in order to progress the conversation more quickly, because when we see each other, we only have maybe 6 hours together in one chunk. So that's what I think of it anyway. I'll interrupt my brother. He'll let me finish. Good morning, Gray. He'll let me finish his sentence, and then he'll start again right from where I finished. And if I understand where he's going, I'll be able to, we just sort of talk over each other in the same direction, so we never get irritated. But I do have family who just cannot handle being interrupted. And it's funny because it's my dad, and him and I, we talk a lot. Like, we talk all the time. And if you can imagine my conversation style with someone who doesn't like to be interrupted, it's like the conversation takes forever to get anywhere, because like, he needs to finish his sentence. I can't finish it for him because it bugs him. So knowing that it bugs him means it bugs other people. So I guess it's a good lesson having someone who doesn't like to be interrupted in your life, because then I can recognize that he's not alone in the world. He's definitely more the majority than like my siblings. However, my siblings grew up with me, so they know when I'm interrupting them, it's not an intentional rudeness. I'm never trying to wash over what they're saying. It's more like I'm trying to move the conversation where I see it going as quickly as possible. And I guess that's not really useful anyway either, or not socially whatever. But Alex and I do that too. Like, if he knows where I'm going, he'll finish it just so that we're on the same page, moving in the same direction. But I don't even know. See, I don't have anyone here to help me finish my sentence, so I don't know which direction I was headed. I knew I was going somewhere fast, and now I'm all over the place again. I looked down at my crochet for too long and got all kerfuffled, confused. Anyway, if you've just joined, welcome. I am making a hat because I'm waiting for Alex to get himself out of the shower and ready to go. We're going to go to my parents' farm, where I am going to collect all things for natural dyeing and whatever food is left on the farm. The hat I'm making is because I sat down without thinking of something to make and then felt awkward sitting here with just a tea. So I grabbed some yarn, and it's thick. I don't know if it's going to make the hat a little bit too thick though. There's no such thing as a hat that's too warm, whatever. It gets down to like -40 here in the winter, so If it's too warm right now, it'll get cold. It always does every single winter here. We get -40 for a couple of days. In Ottawa, where we used to live, you could have like 6 days in a row where it's somewhere between -30 degrees Celsius and -45 degrees Celsius. Can you imagine? -45 degrees Celsius is so cold that when you breathe in, it hurts. Like you need to have a scarf over your face so that you can breathe without coughing. Like if you took your scarf down and went like, it would immediately make you like cough and gasp. That's how cold -45 is. So why I lived there, I have literally no idea. I moved out there for university and then I stayed for a while because I found Alex, and love makes you do ridiculous things. Good morning. I understand you are a creative and your mind works very fast. Oh, thank you. I like to think of it as I function well with ADHD. That's a funny story in itself. In university, I was having struggles with my attention span. So when I went to my doctor and I said, I think maybe I have ADD. My doctor laughed and said, "Do you think?" That's what my actual family doctor said. "Do you think?" And I was like, "Okay, well, thank you for your candor. However, I didn't know this was a common knowledge for everyone." And then she said, "Oh, well, I mean, you're doing okay. Everything's fine. But, if you need help, just talk to me about it and we'll see what we could do." So I went home and I talked to my mom, and I the next time I went home, like, because I was out from living in university, and I said, "Mom, I went to the doctor and I said, I think I have ADD." And she said, "Do you think?" And my mom said, "Laura, everyone has known that you've had ADD since you were very little." And I was like, "What?" The the thing is that it didn't hinder my performance as a student. It just slowed down everyone around me. So teachers would say to my parents, like, "Laura is having a really hard time staying focused and staying on task." But at the same time, I was still getting all of my work done. So it was like it looked like I wasn't staying focused, but everything was still getting done. I was just bothering everyone around me with my talking. So I'm not a one-track mind. I'm not, I like to just do 1,000 things at once. And when you're 8, that's not good, apparently. Although it worries me to think that if I have a child, the likeliness of it coming out kind of like me, pretty high in the whole, it would be my kid. And thinking that my mom and dad were told by teachers that I was disruptive and that I should be put on like Ritalin, because in the 90s that was like the thing. And my parents never did. They never told me when I was young. They never told me that it was, they would teach me, like they would talk to me about my behavior and that it needed to change, but they never put it in a medical lens, and they never put it in a something's wrong with you lens. They just said you need to like handle yourself differently. And I think that was really empowering for me, because like, I think if I had had the knowledge that I could use that as a medical thing when I was young, like as an excuse, I want to say, if you really do struggle, then it's not an excuse. But I think because I wasn't struggling, it would have been one. I'm really glad my parents just didn't bother telling me or engaging with that kind of idea, because I came out fine. I mean, like, I'm aware of my interrupting nature now, so that's good. But yeah, I just think of like what could have been different if they had done that instead, if they had listened to a doctor or a teacher, I mean, and gone and had me medicated for my behavior. I feel like I could have come out very different and taken a very different path. And it kind of scares me, that there could be someone else who has what I have like inside of me. Like I feel like I have this spark that's very, like, I don't want to hide it, because if I do, that's where my soul is. Like if I couldn't create anything, I really do think that I wouldn't be able to function if I wasn't allowed to create. So I think like if I had been, I don't know, more focused medically, maybe I wouldn't be creating the way that I am now. And that would mean like butterfly effect. I just don't even think I would be the same person. So I do appreciate that they did that. And it's true, but to be fair, I do have wonderful parents, and I am glad they knew my talents, or they thought I would have talents or whatever. But my mom was a teacher. Like, my mom was dealing with crazy little kids all day, every day. So when she saw me, I think she could see that it wasn't hurting anything. Um, and yeah, I said that yesterday exactly. I was talking Aracelis. It's a name I haven't seen before, so I'm gonna have to think it a few times before I can naturally say it. Aracelis, Aracelis. Am I saying it right? Aracelis. It's a pretty name. Aracelis, Aracelis, Aracelis. I don't know. Anyway, if you could put it out in how it's pronounced, that would be good. Um, but yes, my grandmother, she was the creative force in my line of women. And then my mom is very creative. Hers is like focused into the teaching realm though. So she's super creative in terms of anything to do with teaching and baking. So my grandmother was like sewing, knitting, crochet, and embroidery, that sort of thing, and baking. And she was good at baking. She was good at baking because she had diabetes. So she kind of needed to have um, baked goods around all the time so that if she went on like a low, she could have something sweet available. So she just became amazing at baking sweet things. So then my mom kind of picked up on that really well. And now my mom is like an expert in terms of all food making. And that's where I think her creativity really shines, is how she can take raw ingredients and turn it into literally the most amazing. Like, she can take just a chicken and like stuff from her garden and make like really fancy food. I know that's not a good example, but here's a good example. They have an apple farm now. My mom is not a farmer. Well, now she is. But she took apples and just started going, learned how to make apple cider. She got Concord grapes. She made like hundreds of jars of grape juice. She figures out what to do with whatever's around her to make the most beautiful, delicious, and like homegrown food that you can have. Like, mom's tomato sauce is unrivaled. In like, there isn't anything. If I need to make spaghetti and meatballs, I won't make it if I don't have mom's tomato sauce, because it just doesn't make sense. I will make some other kind of sauce, like an Alfredo, because I would never do a tomato sauce without my mom's sauce, because once you get hooked on it, it's unchangeable. You can't just not have it anymore. So yes, my mom's creativity comes from keeping things alive by growing them, and also turning them into like memory, heart, love food that you miss when you don't have it. So that's where her creativity comes. My sister got that half. I can't turn an oven on for anything. The highest I can turn an oven on to is 180 degrees for dehydrating. There's no chance I turn the oven on any higher than that and the smoke alarm goes off. Brand new, clean oven, first time going on, smoke alarm goes off if Laura is the one who turns it on. That's okay though, because I can cook. If it's on top of the stove, I can cook it better than I think any of my siblings. I think I'm a good cook. Alex thinks I'm a good cook. My sister, oldest sister, is the baker. She is like an exceptional baker. She makes really like amazing things. She's super type A, so of course baking works out well because she like measures and weighs things. My mom is not like that. She just sort of like throws things into a bowl and it turns into whatever. My older sister, she's a little bit more organized, I would say, than us, the rest of us. So she's really good at baking. She's already been commissioned from several of her friends to do wedding cakes and wedding cupcakes. So that's a nice thing. Don't really have to worry about making a wedding cake. Not that I would have made mine. And then there's me, and I do the handicrafts. That's my creative side. And my little sister is like an exceptional teacher. She's like, her vocation was always meant to be, she was always going to be a teacher. And it turned out that she did end up being a teacher. And it's, that when there's some people who, when they get the job they were supposed to get, you just feel good for them. Like it was, that was always meant for you. My oldest sister and my youngest sister are both right on track, like right on the right track. They're right where they were meant to be. And that's a good feeling, knowing that they are where they're supposed to be is nice. It makes me feel like I have to figure out where I'm supposed to go a little bit more quickly because I'm not the youngest. I'm not the oldest, but I'm not the youngest, and both the oldest and the youngest know where they're headed. So anyway, since I don't know where I'm going, I just try to go wherever I want to go that day as strongly as possible. And today, that means we're going to collect some stuff for dyeing. DYE, not DIE, if you've just arrived. We're going to collect natural dyeing products or plants, natural dyeing things at the farm. I'm hoping that there are still walnuts that have not been taken away by squirrels, because I want the shells, the outer shell, not the hard shell, the like green husky shell. I want to collect more of those. My dad said that he saved me several marigold plants, so that was really kind of him because he knew I was collecting the petals and they were just gonna bulldoze over them for next year's garden. Not bulldoze, rototill? Yeah, rototill. So he saved me those, which is great. And then we'll see if there's anything else for me to collect. I'm super hopeful that there's going to be some birds on the land today. Like, I want to see a pheasant or a grouse.
What? You can tell them that, I don't know if you can update people on Instagram, but you sometimes show people the farm on Instagram.
Oh, that's true.
I'll be on the pictures, like on the live thing.
Yeah, that's true. If you're on Instagram stories, I'll be updating all day with all of the things that we do at the farm. So if you're interested in seeing what the farm looks like,
as long as there's a reception there.
Well, even if there's not, I have LTE. But yeah, as long as I can get it to upload, I'm at lastminutelaura.ca on Instagram. So like not ampersand. What's the @ called?
I call it
okay, that @ like number 2,
like the email
shift to the email sign. Yeah. So and then lastminutelaura.ca. Someone took Last Minute Laura. Well, they didn't take it. They probably just had it because someone else calls them that. But anyway, so I have to be lastminutelaura.ca, which is fine because my website is lastminutelaura.ca, blah, and my email. But I just wanted to be Last Minute Laura. So if you're on Instagram, that's where I'll be all day, posting about the farm, posting about the dogs, all that stuff. This hat is going to be a little bit thick, I think. I'm not worried. I'm just thinking about it. Are you almost ready to go, Alex? Cool. Good. What time are we at now? 7:40. Good. So I've got 20 more minutes to try and get this hat at least. I think I'll get it done while we're driving. It takes us about an hour to get to where we're going in the morning when there's no traffic, which there's nobody on the highway. Like one car every second, which is super. So we should get there in about an hour. And then we'll get to working. And it will be a good, productive, hopefully not too cold. It's only supposed to go up to 3 degrees today at the farm, which is not what I want. But I have 2 pairs of socks. I have a pair of tights, and then jeans will go on top. And then I have a long sleeve undershirt. And this is about a 1 hour for this hat. I would say an hour. It'll take me to do the whole thing, which is why it's my favorite hat to make. If you are new to crochet, this is like the easiest thing to make to feel super awesome about yourself, because you just make a line. You don't have to count how many stitches you use. You just measure from where your hat would sit on your head and then give yourself a little bit up at the top, because that will squish together. So I go for about this long. How about this? From your wrist to your elbow, crochet a chain that long, and then just make the rectangle long enough that it will wrap around your head. That's what this one is. And then I just make I sew around the top part, pull the string really tight, and it closes it. So this is just a rectangle that's been closed at one end. And it's a cute little hat. Again, I look sick when I wear hats because my hairline is, I've got a 5 head. Thank you, Daddy, for your large forehead, but also thank you for your symmetrical nose. So I'll let it go. But yeah, I look sick in a hat, unfortunately. Unless I put on like mascara a lot, I look like I'm going through some tough times. But yeah, that's the easiest hat to make. There's a tutorial for this on my channel. This hat is, if you are really not a crocheter, I have a tutorial for this easy, super easy hat on my YouTube channel. You'll have to scroll back a while if you wanted to find it, but it's there. And also, if you're newer to the party, this sweater's coming out on Tuesday. So if you need a really cozy, warm wool sweater, then this pattern comes out on Tuesday. On my channel, it's a two-parter. It's a 2-hour video, you guys. I filmed like 11 hours of footage and cropped it down to 2 hours, and that's as far as I could crop it because of all of this talking. There was no way for me to get rid of it without just bulldozing over important parts of the sweater. So there's a lot of chit-chat in that one, and that one's coming out at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Have to make that hat. It is so simple. It's a really good one to make for markets. If you ever go to markets and sell things, this one's great because you could be working on it at the market. It's also super easy to put down and pick up because there's no stitch counting or anything like that. Yeah, I'm not going live every single day. I don't think I'll be coming tomorrow morning because I am going to be hopefully doing some stuff in Toronto with Alex for Remembrance Day. We're gonna go try and find where stuff is happening. So I don't think I'll do it tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna be doing Wednesdays and Thursdays for sure. My videos come out on Tuesday, so I'll be on the chat watching the video that comes out. And then I think I'll do Wednesday and Thursday, but I don't know, I don't want to burn out. Like, it doesn't feel difficult to do this right now because I'm excited about it. And the sun just came up, by the way. I don't want a hat on anyway. But I don't know that in like say if I do this for 2 weeks, I don't know if it'll make me feel like bored. I don't want bored to sound like, I don't want to not be excited about it. So I think I'm going to limit myself enough that I'm still really excited to do it. Also, I don't want you guys to get bored of me. If you're seeing me every single morning from 7 until 8, I think that eventually you'll be like, Jesus, this girl really does not shut up. So I think I will give you guys a little break and I'll do a little break. I just don't know what days are the best days yet. So I think I'll just, I said to Alex, for the first 2 weeks, I think I'll live stream whenever I feel like it at 7 a.m., whatever days I feel like it. And then if I don't feel like it, I won't do it. And then after the 2 weeks, I'll kind of look at the analytics from those live streams to determine the days that had the most people watching. And then I'll do my live streaming on those days. Does that make sense? I do. If I have tons and tons of tutorials on crochet, Terre Beauvoir. If you go on my channel, like if you click, I don't know what the live stream looks like for you, but I imagine it's still the same as like a regular YouTube video. If you click on my channel, you can go to where all of my videos are. I have like over 100 videos out now that are crochet tutorials, and a lot of them are like in-depth beginner tutorials. So definitely go there for that because live streaming is not where I plan on doing my tutorials. That's live streaming. What I'm considering for my live streams is the stuff I would usually cut out of my filmed videos. Are you seeing this sunlight right now, by the way? Jesus, I'm going blind. That's what my live streams will be. Like, it'll just be for me hanging out. When I would normally be crocheting and watching a YouTube video, I'm just going to be crocheting and filming one instead. At least then I'm getting some productivity, because even though this is awesome and I'm hanging out with you guys and I get to like read your comments and chit chat with you and share with you, which is like, you know, kind of my vibe. Chit-chatting and sharing is what I like to do. Even though it's fun, it's also part of my business. Like, some people who are interested in live streaming may not even know that I have a YouTube channel for tutorials, so it shares people that way. Oh, that's awesome. If you're meeting with a group of people to make hats for homeless, this is definitely one of the quickest ways to make a hat. I will say I have one other suggestion for you then. These things, the circular looms, not this one because this one's too big. This one's hat sized. There we go. Circle looms, you can get them at Michael's, and if you use your 55% off coupon, which you can get by just searching Michael's coupons, I think the kit is like $21, but you get 50% off, so it ends up at like $10, and you get 4 of these in various sizes, from baby all the way to like cowl. And these, you can get a hat done in like 30 minutes. It's really quick and really easy. So if you're trying to make like a whole bunch of them for winter, I really would recommend a circle loom. Plus you get 4 of them. So if you're meeting with a group of ladies, you can each use a different size and you can do like a baby one, a grown up one and whatnot. But yeah, so the live streaming is still technically part of my business model. Like, of course I don't want to make it sound like I'm, you know, only doing it for that, because it's kind of like, it's a lot of it's for me. Like I'm enjoying myself, so I want to do it. But also it still shows up as a video on my YouTube channel after we finish the live stream. And then after we're finished, ads do come up on it. So it works for me the way a YouTube video works, while simultaneously allowing me to communicate with people who are watching my channel. So it's like, it's a lot easier for me to talk to you guys versus in one of my videos where I'm commenting in, like, if I have to type back and forth, it's not the same vibe for me. Like all of the live streams we've had together, I feel like we've been talking, like I'm remembering it like a conversation, which is bizarre because you are typing and I'm responding to what you've typed, but it's almost like I've put a voice in for you in my head. And then when I remember it back, like when I remember what we talked about yesterday, I'm remembering it like we were all hanging out and talking in my brain. Like I'm aware that you guys are not in the same room and I'm aware that we're all separate, but it's like my memory translates it into we're just hanging out. And that's a really good vibe for someone who has to work alone all the time. It definitely gives me a good start to my day. And I hope it's making your day, I don't know, start at least pleasant. I hope it's not negatively impacting your day. And I hope you're not just watching it hoping that I'll screw up, because there's trolls and people like who watch live streams just hoping that something will happen that's not good. So hopefully you guys are all just here to hang out too, because that's what I come for and that's what's fun about it for me. Anyway, if that tangent got anywhere, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, hi to the 6 of you who are here. It's nice to see how many of you are commenting today. It seems that every day there's a few more people who show up, which is kind of fun. Maybe we'll have like a little group of ladies who we can all just hang out. You know what? Maybe that would be a nice thing then if oh, I'm glad you like the chat too. I wonder if you guys are good with the 7 a.m. Is 7 a.m. too early? 7 a.m. my time. I know it's a bunch of different times for you guys, depending on where you're located. But if 7 a.m. works for you, that's for me the best, because I get up at 5:30, and then from 5:30 to 7, I do like a little bit of online work, and I make my tea, and then from 7 to 8, I can hang out with you guys, and then that way my day has started on like a positive. It's like you guys are like my positive affirmations for the day. You're my way to jazz up my morning a little bit. Oh, good. I'm glad it's a perfect time. Okay, cool. That's what I was thinking, is that we could all have tea and like breakfast together, and then the day starts off feeling like you got to hang out with a friend, you know? And then the rest of the day, it's nice. It's just like when you make your bed in the morning, you know, it starts you off on the right foot. I want to be a way to make it feel like you started off on the right foot. Because that's what it is for me. When I leave here, I feel totally like I started on the right foot, and like every decision I'm going to make that day has a better chance of being a good decision because I made a good decision to start. You know, like when you, first thing in the morning, when you put a load of laundry in when you wake up, oh, that's a good. Oh, I'm glad that you are a human. That's good. Totally. I'm sorry I made the assumption. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, boys and girls, and everyone in between, I understand that anybody and everybody is welcome to watch, and I'm happy to have everyone here. The statistics I see on my channel, I can see when you sign up for your Google account, you had to click female or male. I don't know that there was an option for other. So if you clicked female or male, then when I see my analytics for the videos, usually it comes up with stats on that. So from the information I have, it looks as though more people who are watching are ladies. That's why I said ladies, but I meant no offense by it. Everyone, of course, is welcome, and I want everyone to feel welcome, because I know that the boxes that we have already outlined are not necessarily the way that people will see it in 100 years. That's what I believe. Anyway, I think that people will look back on the way that we talk about everybody and they'll think we were crazy in 100 years. I think that it'll definitely, there'll be a lot more of just generic in the future, I think. If you understood what I mean. If you don't, then let's just move on from that. But I'm glad you've enjoyed the streams too. But yeah. It's almost 8. This hat is coming along, and I really do think that I will have it done. I think I'll bring a yarn needle with me in the car then. That way I can get it sewn together. You know what the worst thing is? When you get something finished, but you can't like do the finishing touches because you forget one of your important pieces, and that's kind of how I feel. Also, if you can tell, when you sent that message and I read it, my face turned red. So the reason that happens is because anytime that I feel anything, my face turns red. If I feel excited, embarrassed, sad, happy, literally any emotion comes across, this bad boy turns bright red. So that's how you know I feel things. The stitch I am doing, yes, it's half double crochet in the back loops only. So I'll just come up close. So there's the V at the top, right? Usually when I'm doing a half double crochet, I'll go in like this. When I'm doing this stitch, I'm only going into the back loop, this part here. And that's going to give me a bit of a rib stitch. Nothing too drastic, but you can see it gives these nice little bumps. I will let you know, Denise, kind of crafty. Yes, I have done that, and it gives me a little bit of anxiety when I think about it, because when I look back at my videos, I see the flaws, I see the mistakes that I've made in the video. So yes, there's one of my videos that has 130,000 almost views on it now, and it freaks me out thinking that many people have watched me talk for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Yes, it freaks me out. So I try just not to think about it, because like I don't talk to that many people in like real life. Like I talk to my small group of friends and my family. I'm not really like a wild socialite. So the idea that there are people who like comment and talk is it's kind of mind-blowing. And seeing the demographics, because I originally thought, like, I'm 26, so I just assumed that I was always speaking to myself. Like, that's who I presented to. In my head, I was just talking to, like, my friends. And then it turns out that, for the most part, I was very wrong. My demographics are all over the place. The countries of origin for people who are watching my stuff is not Canada, like at all. Canada is like on like number 7 or 8 on the on my list of like, it goes like US and then Mexico and then Russia, and there's like, it shows you the countries that, and Indonesia is in there somewhere. There's like it's not Canada. So I thought I was just, whenever I was talking in Celsius and centimeters, I was assuming that that's who was watching, but it's not. So I just try to not look too much at my demographics and my analytics, because it'll get me overwhelmed and it'll make me start acting not like myself. So yes, I have looked, but I try not to look too often because I don't want to get too in my head about it. Also, how I measure it, the truth is that I don't really measure a lot of things unless I'm really, really trying to teach. Then I don't really do measurements. I literally will just like, well, it's not wrapped around my head yet. And then when it is, when it makes it all the way around my head, I will just, I'll just cut it there. Oh, it's 7:57, guys. I gotta head out. I gotta go to the farm. So if you want to follow along with farm stuff, get on Instagram and follow me. If you don't want to follow along with farm stuff, then that's totally okay. But I am going to go now and do some stuff on the farm. So thank you all. Thanks, Denise. Oh, thank you too, Aracelis. And oh, geez, you guys, so kind. So I will see you next time. And thank you for stopping by for this morning chit chat, hangout, and breakfast. And yes, don't forget to come back on Tuesday because there's going to be this one, and I'll be in the chat so we can hang out while that video comes out. Anyway, see you then. Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.